Hello, it's Ornate ASMR, and today I thought that I would make a quick video where I light some candles. I have two here. And read you 10 quotes from books that I loved. These quotes are mostly about love because I'm a big softie and I enjoy reading books that have that kind of love story component to them. And my favorite books are actually ones that break my heart, in a sense, and make me sob. Yes, I know it sounds a bit strange, but those are memorable ones for me. So, let's get started. First one. And there's two. I'm going to turn off this desk light here so that there's a little bit of an ambiance. We'll try it out. That's quite nice. So, the first quote we have is from Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and I've actually never finished reading it because every time I start to read it, school starts back up and I never have time to complete it. So I have started reading it and made it halfway through probably 3 or 4 times, but it is just beautiful and poetic. So this first quote is, "What is love? I have met in the streets a very poor young man who was in love. His hat was old, his coat worn. The water passed through his shoes, and the stars through his soul." The next quote I have is from The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. And I just recently read this book. It was a gift. And when I finished it, I was outside crying uncontrollably. And not so much because it was sad, but it just evokes deep feelings inside of me, which I love in a book. It is a beautiful story and very well written. I hear that Kristin Hannah has other great books out there, and I'm excited to check them out. So this quote is, "Love, it was the beginning and end of everything, the foundation and the ceiling and the air in between." This next quote is by Anthony Doerr, and it's from All the Light We Cannot See. And this book was very interesting to me because I loved the way it was written and the story, but the end I felt conflicted in a way. And if you've read the book, I'm sure you know what I mean, because the message that was being portrayed was that sometimes those who are on the side of good forces are not necessarily good and those who are on the wrong side of history are not necessarily evil. So this quote is, "None more complicated than the human brain," Etienne would say. "What may be the most complex object in existence, 1 wet kilogram within which spins the universe." And that one is just beautiful because it's so true that in all of our heads there's infinite stories and scenarios and thoughts, some that have never been thought before and may never be thought again. It's mind-blowing. So this next one is from A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. And when I read this book, I loved it. I had never read a book like it, and I actually have not seen all of the television show, but the book was unlike anything I'd read before. It's one of my top 2 favorite books, up there with Les Mis, actually, and they're so different from each other. And so this quote is, "Wind and words. We are only human, and the gods have fashioned us for love. That is our great glory and our great tragedy." And I like that because it's kind of, it shows you both sides of the same coin. That love can create great things in our life, but it can also be one of our biggest weaknesses, which I think makes it even more beautiful. This next quote is from The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. And this one is not necessarily about love, but it strikes me every time I read it. And it's a nice reminder too. And it is, "You only have to forgive once. To resent, you have to do it all day, every day." I think that's a nice reminder. I mean, I personally think about things and think that's a lot of energy that I'm giving to think about this situation that is unneeded, that's wasted. It would just be easier to forgive that one time. And that book is beautiful. Another book where I sobbed. Okay, so this next quote is from Snow Falling on the Cedars by David Gutterson. And I read this book, and it was one of the first books I had read that was written in such a way that struck me, because the writing is so beautiful and the story moves you. It just connects with a deeper part of your humanity if you're willing to take the time to read it. I highly recommend it. I know I just said that I have top 2 favorite books, but this one was eye-opening for me, in a sense. And this quote is, "He decided then that he would love her forever, no matter what came to pass. It was not so much a matter of deciding as accepting the inevitability of it." That one I just like because it's, like it says, it's the acceptance of it. He knew it was going to happen. He just had to come to terms. Okay, and this next quote, I read, I believe in the 4th grade is when I read The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, excuse me for that terrible pronunciation. And one of the most memorable things about this book for me is that it actually had a red ribbon reading a book that had that, because I had never had one before like that. And this quote is, "At first people refuse to believe that a strange new thing can be done. Then they begin to hope it can be done. Then they see it can be done. Then it is done, and all the world wonders why it was not done centuries ago." And I think that's just so true. Whenever you're learning about history, you think, how did people live like this? Why did people put up with this? How come things weren't changed sooner? Because it all, like, hindsight is 2020, and future generations have a different way of looking at things because of the changes that formed the world they grew up in. They don't know any different, and they don't understand how other people could have known different. This next book, or quote, excuse me, it's kind of an interesting one that I threw in there because it's from The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And when I read this book, it was a required reading for me when I was in high school. And I just thought, Hester Prynne, get it, girl. Like, she overcame a lot, and I was just on her side the whole time. Because in my eyes, she was strong after all of the persecution she had faced. And this quote is, "Love, whether newly born or aroused from a death-like slumber, must always create sunshine, filling the heart so full of radiance that it overflows upon the outward world." And now, this next quote is from White Fang by Jack London. And I really love Jack London's writing. And when I was younger, I was actually pretty obsessed with wolves as well, which is probably why this book has stuck with me, because it's about a wolf. And this quote is, "Human kindness was like a sun shining upon him, and he flourished like a plant in good soil." I really enjoy this quote because I think love can have that effect. People can grow and reach their potential and open up if they're exposed to love and treated with love. Okay, and then this last quote is by Rodolfo Anaya from the book Bless Me Ultima, which I loved. I was entranced the whole time I read this book. It just seemed like the words were written in such a wise way, and that wisdom kind of seeps through the pages. And this quote is, "I made strength from everything that had happened to me, so that in the end, even the final tragedy could not defeat me. And that is what Ultima tried to teach me, that the tragic consequences of life can be overcome by the magical strength that resides in the human heart." That one, like I said, it just seems wise to me. Yes, it is about an older generation passing on knowledge to a younger generation, but it also has a sort of coming of age sense to it that I really like. So, yes, thank you for watching. I hope this video was relaxing, and I hope you are doing well. Thank you.